Hi everyone. Okay, we're gonna jump right into our hormone harmony event. We are so excited about these every month. We love rotating the topics, and we have some fun upcoming ones planned for the next couple months. We decided that after, it just came off our weekend at our conference as a company, and our inboxes have been humming, literally humming this week with excitement and questions. And from a lot of that, we realize we see some repetition in a lot of questions as far as pertaining to hormones, pertaining to hormone health, pertaining to our female anatomy, our male anatomy, children's anatomy, and our varying needs in regards to our health and wellness, specifically through our hormones and our nutrition, and how it ties in with the product we've been talking a lot about this week that we just launched called Triple Boost. So one of those key um, I don't know, misconceptions or maybe just kind of default thinking is that when we talk about hormones, we're specifically talking about adding estrogen to our bodies, or our sex hormones, which are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, or is specifically talking to women in perimenopause or menopause, when really that's actually probably the lower of the hierarchy of what we're actually talking about when we're talking about overall hormone health. So we're going to dig in tonight to the truth around our hormones, and how to really identify and kind of go inward in terms of if you're struggling with different hormone imbalances and what that might be looking like and how we can address that. So we've got Kaylee Calabrese and Jenny Swisher, two bona fide amazing hormone health experts, amazing leaders on our team who teach me every day. And we're going to jump right in to that. But we will have time for a Q&A at the very end, hopefully. So type them in the chat. We'll get to them at the end. But I think we'll probably cover a lot of them as we go. So um, go ahead and take it away, Jenny.
Sure thing. Well, it's so great to be with you guys tonight. I hope you guys are having a great week. I'm excited, as always, to talk about hormone health. I'm a total nerd on this subject. I know Kaylee and I are partners in crime that way. But I'm excited to talk about this because I agree. I think a lot of people think hormones and they immediately think sex hormones, or they think about birth control pills, or they think about the things that society does talk about, and not necessarily about what we should be talking about, which is our endocrine health as a whole. So what I want to teach you guys in a very short period of time tonight is just why hormones matter, why this idea of hormone literacy really matters for us, and make it simple, make it sort of an easy way for you to understand, so that you do understand how things like nutrition, and I know Kaylee's going to talk about Triple Boost, how these things can actually benefit your health as a whole. So let's talk about just this idea of what our endocrine system really is. But first, I want you guys to understand one thing, and that is that women in particular will experience hormone imbalance almost inevitably, if not before perimenopause, then during perimenopause. It's just sort of the nature of the beast, right? And so what I find is a lot of times, women in particular, they don't necessarily pay attention to hormone health until they start to see symptoms pop up around the age of 35 to 40 or beyond. So it's interesting, right? It's like, it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. Like we think we're fine, or we think everything is associated with other aspects of our health not pertaining to our hormones, until all of a sudden our hormones take a shift. And then we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I just saw something from Dr. Lisa Mosconi about the brain and how much the brain actually changes during the perimenopausal years. It's huge. And the science and research behind all of this is really starting to truly shed light on what we need to understand. So let's talk about this in a way that does make sense, right? Like we know that 72% of women are going to deal with hormone imbalance at some point, if not before perimenopause, then during. We also know that most men and women admit to really not having very much knowledge about hormone health. I don't know about you guys, but hormone health for me was sex ed class in middle school teaching me how to not get pregnant as a teenager, right? It really wasn't about my anatomy, my menstrual cycle. It wasn't about anything that really matters now, right? And I think like a lot of us, we have different experiences. We have different experiences with, doctor's appointments or birth control pills or whatever the case is, but we don't necessarily really know how our body is designed to work and how good we're designed to feel. So I'm going to make this super simple for you. I teach a concept called the four-legged hormone chair. And this is a way for you to really just understand what our endocrine system looks like as a whole. So if you picture, just like this photo here, you picture your average sturdy four-legged kitchen chair, right? This represents your endocrine system as a whole. So those four legs of your chair are your thyroid, which regulates your metabolism and your energy. I like to call it the thermostat of the body. Your insulin, which controls blood sugar levels. Your cortisol, which is your stress response produced by the adrenal glands that sit above your kidneys. And then your sex hormones. That's what we know of as our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, FSH, and LH, right? Our menstrual cycle hormones. And so those four legs of the chair make up the endocrine system. Now, technically, I know Kaylee talks about this in terms of a hierarchy, right? So cortisol is really queen. Cortisol is queen. Your body is always going to prioritize survival over reproduction, right? For example. And so this is important for us to understand because a lot of times women will say, oh, all of a sudden my menstrual cycle's dysregulated, or I'm having painful periods, or my period lasted 3 weeks, or they start to notice things like that that pop up in their sex hormones. But actually that's a downstream effect of different things that are happening up the chain. And so in the case of cortisol, when we're under extra stress, or when we're in that perimenopausal decade, when we start to experience things in our life that impact us on a stress level, we start to see these ramifications down the line. And as my good friend Dr. Page says, sex hormones are never the front bowling pin. The front bowling pins are our cortisol, how our thyroid is operating, and our blood sugar, which I know Kaylee is going to talk more about as well. So my question to you is, if you picture this four-legged chair, we talked about those four legs. If I were to say to you, what happens if I were to saw off one leg of the chair, even just an inch? You'd probably tell me, right, that the whole chair begins to wobble. This is what can happen with a hormone imbalance. When we refer to hormone imbalance, it's really just all of a sudden this whole endocrine system becomes very wobbly. But as you can probably tell from what I'm saying, it's a very complex thing to even understand, which is, to be honest with you, why a lot of even modern medicine doctors don't understand it and avoid it, and will quickly just prescribe something like birth control or just sort of get you out the door because they're like, this is complex, right? Turns out research has been done mostly on men because women's bodies are very complex. And so you can have different symptoms of different legs of the chair, which really complicate things, right? Like you can feel wired and tired, and it can be your adrenals, but that can also be impacting other legs of the chair. So I say that because a lot of times people think like, oh, well, I don't have hormone imbalance because I have a regular period or I have a regular menstrual cycle. Great. Maybe your sex hormones are fine. There's a lot of different other components here, including the thyroid, including your cortisol, including your blood sugar, that all impact everything. Okay. Now, the other thing I like to mention here when I talk about this analogy is the foundation on which your chair sits. So your chair can either be sitting on rocky soil, causing it to wobble in general, or it can be sitting on a firm foundation, on a firm floor. The flooring or the foundation of that chair is your gut. It is the gut microbiome, right? So if you have really faulty gut health, if your gut health is suffering, the hormone imbalance is going to be a repercussion of that. So everything really begins in the gut. And then from there, right, we dig deeper into what we call a root cause approach for our health. So that's just a general overview, but here's what I want to tell you before I hand it over to Kaylee. So as I mentioned before, most women don't start to realize that they're having any sort of imbalance issues until they hit maybe 35 to 40, which is where perimenopause starts to take hold, and they start to experience maybe brain fog, or they start to have trouble sleeping, or the headaches start coming back, or whatever the case is, right? And they start to say, hey, what's going on? Everything I was doing before isn't working anymore. My body's shifting, my body's changing. I don't feel like myself, right? This is what we hear about when we hear people talk about menopause. Well, this decade that's leading up to menopause, known as perimenopause, can kind of sometimes present those types of symptoms, which is when a lot of us are like, wait, teach me about hormone health, because I think I might need to know about this now, right? And so what I want you guys to understand is during that particular decade of time, your ovaries are like a cruise ship leaving the dock. So I don't know if you guys have ever been on a big cruise ship, but like I like to use this analogy of like the cruise ship is literally backing away from the dock, and you feel like, yay, everybody toast their champagne glasses because you're finally parting into the sea, but it's actually hours before you no longer see the land anymore, right? This is perimenopause. The ovaries are like, hey guys, it's been real, it's been fun, we've been fertile for you all these years. We're giving you a nice good warning as we sort of set out to sea, and we hand the baton over to your adrenals. So if I were to ask you the question, do women still produce hormones after menopause? Your answer should be yes. We still produce hormones, but now they come more from the adrenals as opposed to the reproductive organs. So what's happening during that decade is the ovaries are backing out a little bit, right? The adrenals are taking over. Your adrenals are already in charge of your stress response. They're already in charge of your cortisol. They're already in charge of making sure you're alive and outrunning the bear. And now all of a sudden, you're in perimenopause and they're taking over that sex hormone production responsibility. This is why we see a lot of these shifts happen, a lot of these symptoms pop up. And what do most women do during this decade of time? They think that they need to exercise harder or eat less, or it's okay to, to burn the candle at both ends and take care of our parent. I call it sandwich generation, right? We take care of our parents, we take care of our kids, we burn it all out, we burn out that cortisol, and all of a sudden now we're in this really wobbly chair situation of hormone imbalance. So what do we do for that? That's what Kaylee's going to talk about. We talk about how we can do things like stabilizing our blood sugar. We talk about the lifestyle factors that implicate these things, the lifestyle factors that help you get a hold of it and get in control of it. Because here's the deal. Things like blood sugar imbalance are at the root of 80% of hormone imbalance issues. Most women are not eating enough, and they're not eating enough protein, which I'm sure Kaylee's going to talk about. Most women are suffering from low energy. Most women are suffering from what I like to say their check engine lights are flashing, and they don't know where to begin because they're not managing their stress, they're not downregulating their nervous system, and they're not satiating properly. So it comes down really to nutrition. It comes down to sleep, downregulating the nervous system, and exercise. So these are things that we can control to help us during that transition or any time that we're dealing with hormone imbalance in our life. So Kaylee, without further ado, I can't wait to hear from you on blood sugar and energy and all the things, including triple boost.
Yes. So introducing triple boost. I love everything that Jenny had to say. And this is, the foundation for why create a product like this. So when I think about it, when the women that I work with, that I coach every single day, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about nutrition, we talk about stress management, we talk about supplementation, we talk about regulating blood sugar. I generally work with an individual woman for a 6-month period, at least. That's if she doesn't renew, because it's very individualized, finding what is the combination that's going to work for you, and we're trial and error and adjusting. But what I love about what Hugh and Grace has created in Triple Boost is the synergy of the ingredients here. The formulation is essentially given us like a low-hanging fruit to say, we understand that this is going to take some time for you to experiment with what works for your body. Can you get 6,000 steps in a day? Can you get 10,000 steps in a day? Do you do best if you heavy lift for 20 minutes, 4 days a week, or if you heavy lift for 40 minutes, 3 days a week? What's your protein intake need to be? Are you someone who needs to be like a gram per healthy pound of body weight? Or are you maybe at the 0.8? Or are you maybe at the 1.25? Like, we need to play with all of those things, right? When we're really trying to optimize it. Stress management doesn't just happen like that. It's not just like, boom, I got this. I removed all the stressors from my life. Now my cortisol is great. So blood sugar is good. And my adrenals can take over for my ovaries. No, you have to like start to make a conscious effort. I'm going to work on my nervous system response. I'm going to get more sleep. I'm going to start to learn to say no and put up boundaries. But how can you support your body in a way that helps to give you the better energy, the more stable blood sugar that reduces the mood spikes and crashes that come with the blood sugar spikes and crashes, that helps to improve your sleep, that helps to protect your muscle mass that's starting to decrease in perimenopause, or maybe just because you haven't had the time to nourish yourself and to pay attention to your fitness. What can we do to really start to support all of these systems at once so that we have a little more energy, a little more confidence, a little more get up and go to put the effort into the lifestyle shifts? And to me, that's what Triple Boost has really done. So the 3 Bs, we talk about the B12. This is a vitamin that most people are deficient in. We used to associate it with vegans or vegetarians because a lot of it comes from animal protein, but we're finding that more and more people are deficient in B vitamins, especially B12. This is going to impact mood, it's going to impact fertility, it's going to impact thyroid, it has an impact on so many things. What we're getting here, there are a lot of forms of B12. They're inactive. So I look at, when you look at supplements with your clients and you're like, this is an inactive form of B12, it's it's likely not activating and giving you what you need. And if that's the case, that's putting an additional stress on your body. It's something your liver has to process out. So our B12 comes from our second B, blue Icelandic spirulina. That means it's a whole food plant-based source of B12. It's bioavailable to the body. We're going to talk about some of the other benefits of blue spirulina in a minute that are associated with creating a healthy foundation for hormones. And then BCAAs, those are branched chain amino acids. We're going to talk a little bit about those in a minute as well. So as we move forward, to me, this product, it really aids us in like 4 key buckets. So I think of that first bucket. I think we do have a slide for the buckets that it aids in, but I'll jump into a couple of them. So the first one being amino acids. So I want you guys to think of protein as a Lego tower. And if you look closely at that Lego tower, it's made up of unique individual blocks, and each one of them plays a role in creating that structure. That's amino acids. So the building in and of itself can't exist without each of these individual blocks. There are about 20 unique amino acids. Half of them our body can make on its own. 9 of them are essential. That means we have to get them from the food that we're taking in. Most people aren't eating enough protein, enough nutrients to get these 9 essential amino acids. But all 9 of them are contained in our triple boost protein formula, in the plant-based proteins that are in here, including BCAAs, which are the ones that we often associate with muscle mass, muscle repair. So the amino acids serve different roles. They help with hormone production like insulin and growth hormone. Insulin relates to blood sugar, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Growth hormone's not just for kids. Growth hormone helps break down fats, including visceral fat, that bad fat around our organs. So all these amino acids, they're playing really important roles in our body. And if our body can't break down the protein to get access to each of these unique individual amino acids so they can be sent off to do their jobs, then that protein is essentially not useful to us. So it's the amino acids that we're looking for, not really the protein. Tryptophan is one of the amino acids that's found in pumpkin seed protein, which is one of the ingredients here in Triple Boost. Tryptophan converts to serotonin, which then converts to melatonin. So we talked about regulating cortisol. Sleep is foundational for thyroid health, for adrenal health, and for hormone health. I would much rather have my clients get to that melatonin by having the amino acids they need to make it on their own than to say, here's a pill for melatonin. And now you've told your body, hey, I've got melatonin, I don't need you to make any, right? When we get it from the whole food sources, this is so much better. Blood sugar regulation. I think Jenny just did a really great job of explaining to us why our blood sugar is so important. When blood sugar spikes and crashes and spikes and crashes, that roller coaster ride creates an insulin sensitivity. We also find that when blood sugar starts to be dysregulated like this over time, which can start in childhood, depending on if we're getting adequate fiber and protein in our diets, that it then dysregulates cortisol. It also dysregulates estrogen. It dysregulates mood hormones. It causes brain fog. So it leads to a whole host of problems. If you want to improve a lot of body systems at one time, your mood, your energy, your digestion, your cravings, your hunger, your satiety, improve your blood sugar. This formula does that because it gives us a solid dose of 20 grams of digestible protein, meaning we can break it down and get what we need from it. That gives us a slow, steady drip of energy. So imagine like an IV dripping energy into your veins throughout the morning. So you have what you need to start to think clearly, to do a workout. When your body's like, oh, I got the energy I need for the demands you're placing on me, it can go into rest and digest. It can calm down. It can say, I'm safe. I'm not in a dangerous situation. I'm being fed. I'm being given the energy I need. When it doesn't have that, and we fast all morning, we try to work out fasted, it puts our body in a state of stress. And it's like, where's my energy coming from? You're putting all these demands on me and I don't have the fuel that I need. And that spikes cortisol. It makes us more insulin sensitive. So having something a high dose of protein first thing in the morning, it sets you up for stable blood sugar throughout the day. You spike it in the morning, it's more likely to do this all day. You stabilize it in the morning, it stays stable. So this is a really easy way to get 20 grams of protein first thing in the morning for you or your kids, because that impacts how you think and how you perform. Digestive health. A couple of quick things. We've got plant-based proteins here. They all have a high digestibility score, meaning our bodies can easily break them down, absorb the nutrients, and put them to use. A lot of animal proteins, whey protein, soy protein, brown rice protein, those are very difficult for our bodies to digest, which means we might not be accessing the nutrients in a timely fashion. We also might be creating inflammation and some digestive upset. If you've ever gotten gas or bloating after taking a protein supplement, like a protein powder or a bar or a drink, that's because the proteins in it weren't highly digestible. So these are highly digestible to protect our gut health, give us the nutrients that we need. The blue spirulina, the chlorophyll in that actually nourishes our good gut bacteria so that it can flourish. And as Jenny said earlier, our gut health is that foundation. Do we want it to be solid and flat and stable, or do we want it to be like rocky and pebbly? So having easy digestible protein, having the chlorophyll for the good gut bacteria, having a little bit of fiber from the oat milk powder and the guar gum supports our digestive health. And then detoxification. The blue spirulina, in addition to the B12 that it provides, it also helps to bind up heavy metals so that they can be flushed from our body. This helps to reduce our toxic load, which improves liver health, improves gut health. Our gut is where a lot of our hormones are actually formed. A lot of hormone signaling starts there. It's also plays a big role in metabolizing hormones. So if we want our hormones to be balanced, like in perimenopause, in the beginning stages, most women have excess estrogen, high levels of estrogen. We need to open up our detox pathways. We need to improve our liver and our gut health so that that excess estrogen can be metabolized out. So in this one simple formula, and really delicious, they can be used in a lot of really delicious ways for adults and kids. We get all of the amino acids we need to make hormones and to serve our bodies, our muscles, our thyroid health. We get stable blood sugar. We get gut health and digestive support. We get detoxification. So it's really like this low-hanging fruit of, I can do something really simple to serve my body in so many ways that's going to create a foundation for optimized hormone health.
That was amazing. I love learning from you too. So I know you have a call in just a minute, Kaylee. So we're gonna like wrap this up. But is there burning questions from any of you listening? You can put it in the chat and I'll read it. You can unmute. I do have one. How do you know if something in your supplement is inactive? Use B12 as an example. Is there a way to know whether something is inactive or not?
Jenny's nodding her head. Do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, when it comes to the B12, like I can answer that specifically. So a lot of times, anytime you're supplementing with B12, you're not supplementing with a methylated form of B12. So in this particular product, it is the methylated B12, which means 44% of people have what's called an MTHFR gene mutation, which prevents them from being able to methylate properly. Yeah, myself as well, and my daughters. And so taking a B12 that's non-methylated is actually more harmful than good. And so kind of having it already pre-methylated is good for you because your body's able to absorb it properly and use it properly. So if you're currently using a B12 supplement, hopefully, your doctor or practitioner has you on something that is a methylated B vitamin. But a lot of times it isn't. It's really like a lot of people will turn around the bottle and they realize, oh, it's just a really cheap form of B12 that my body isn't even utilizing. So, and like Kaylee said, the fact that this is in food form is even better, right? It's not a capsule. It's in food form, meaning your body's going to absorb it better anyway.
Yeah. And a normal like I'm on a B12 supplement because I'm plant-based. So I was already low anyways, but that's like $30 alone. My B12 supplement is not cheap because it is a high quality one from my functional medicine doctor. And then this has 210% of our B12 needs, which I think is really nice. I know that it fills a big gap. I had another fun question. Is there a time of day that you suggest drinking Triple Boost, or is there a time of the day when it's too late or to drink it?
I don't think it's something that's going to give you a big energy boost where you would have to worry about like having it at the end of the day. I would say, as far as timing goes, it depends on how good you are at eating a protein rich breakfast. So if you have like a good protein rich breakfast that you already like to have, maybe save it for later in the afternoon when you're really busy. You know, have it with your lunch if you normally like have a salad at lunch to up the protein, or have it when you normally hit that energy lull. But if you are not good at eating breakfast, or if you don't eat a protein rich breakfast, I would definitely start your day with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would say the majority of people, just to kind of echo what Kaylee was saying earlier, like blood sugar instability is such a huge issue for so many people. And a lot of people don't realize too that PCOS, which tends to be a common diagnosis, usually it takes a woman 5 to 6 doctors before she gets a PCOS diagnosis. But once she does finally get that diagnosis, I like to tell people when they say, oh, I have PCOS, I'm like, have you really investigated and really drilled into your blood sugar? Because managing your blood sugar can make drastic changes in that. So without going into a whole thing on that, I just want to say, getting, stabilizing that blood sugar, whatever that looks like for you. For me personally, like I do a protein rich breakfast, but I notice that like if I wait too long for lunch, I definitely feel like a dip, right? And so for me, I like to have my triple boost like 11 a.m. to noon, and then I still have lunch before I do my workout. But like for me, it's stable. It's just keeping it steady. So I was thinking when Kaylee was talking earlier, it's kind of like you're going to go on a long road trip, which is the day in your life, right? You would fill up your gas at the beginning of the day. You would fill it up. You would get that high protein breakfast. You would kind of set the engine and the gas and fuel ready to rock and roll so that you don't necessarily have to stop throughout the day, as opposed to just filling your tank a quarter of the way and having to stop every so often, right? And so keeping it nice and stable is key. But the other thing I want to mention for anybody on here who's an exerciser or strength trainer, this is a great option for you for pre or post workout. So women, as Kaylee said, should not be working out fasted. It just puts your body into, survival mode. Anytime your body is in fight or flight, then everything else goes to the back burner. Like we said, cortisol is queen. And so if we're putting our body into that freak out mode of like, is she going to fuel me or is she just going to work me? Right. And we're not giving it enough fuel, then that's when we get into trouble. So having it, if you're someone who struggles, you're like, I work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to eat a big breakfast. Perfect. Then just have triple boost, shake it in water and you're good to go. You're getting that 20 grams of protein. And if you're someone who says, I already take branched chain amino acids post workout, could this replace that? The answer is also yes. So it could be pre-workout, could be post-workout. But yeah, either way.
And I'll
I
just
love it.
share one more quick testimony, because I had another advocate voice message me yesterday, and she's like, she's a very health conscious person. She eats really healthy. She's 52, she's in menopause. And she said, I've been drinking this for 4 days. And not only am I not like hungry all the time, but the chatter in my brain of, what are you going to eat? Maybe we should have a snack. When do you think we should get a snack? Should we have a snack? She said like her brain chatter has quieted. And when we talked about it and dove a little deeper, what she did was she started regulating her blood sugar. And when your body knows it has that stable source of energy, now your brain can focus on something else because it isn't thinking, where's my energy coming from? I need fuel.
Yep.
I love that. I feel like this can help anyone, like everyone. Is there anyone that you feel like wouldn't be a good fit for this protein delivery system?
Unless you had an allergy to something in it, I can't think of anyone. My son uses it. My fiance uses it. We all love it.
And
Yeah.
if you didn't catch on, it's a beautiful blue color, which makes it really fun. Also, I know a couple of our teammates have said like they have picky eaters, and like the color alone won it over for their kids, so they're getting all of that, all of those nutrients in too, which is a great win.
Yeah, I was excited that my 76-year-old mom ordered it today too, because I've been really talking to her about like, even as we age, like protein becomes more important, right? Like if she thinks that like we're working on the dumbbells, she's got like 3 and 5 pounders. We're going to work her way up. But for now, I'm like, okay, focus on protein, mom. You need more protein. Like, and she's the queen of just munching on crackers, or like her blood sugar's all over the place, right? So I was like, this is going to be a great way for you to help stabilize that, for you to get the real energy you need. Cause like Kaylee said, if you're not getting the essential amino acids that you need, that's why we keep reaching for more things. Like your body is literally not getting what it needs. And so therefore you're grabbing the French fries or you're grabbing the cookies or whatever else. And so if we can satiate that, we can keep the blood sugar stable. It's win-win. So I see this for everyone. Like my 8-year-old tried it today. My 76-year-old mom ordered it today. I think it's a win for everybody.
I love it. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here. Whoever invited you to this call, if you're like, I want to try this, I'm so excited to try this, just reach back out to them and they'll get you a link. If you're happening to watch this in real time, we do have a $1 enrollment promo for an advocate too that ends through end of the day tomorrow, the end of the day on the 20th of September. And you can enroll with Triple Boost Hydrating Detox in our AM supplement and then be an advocate for $1 as well, which is a really great opportunity to not only just save on your own, but then be able to help other people build a little side income, cover your own costs, build a business, or just be part of our team. You also get when you enroll, you can ask whoever you sign up through if they don't already automatically get it in your email from them. But Kaylee made a beautiful ebook full of yummy recipes with so many fun options. So you'll have a really great, fantastic ebook for a lot of fun ways. I even saw a tahini sauce, like which I'm really excited to try for myself. So and just a robust, like our community is full of just knowledge. So if you have more questions, feel free to reach out. And we want you to feel really excited about trying this as well. So thank you for hopping in. And thank you, Kaylee and Jenny. I always learn so much and I love hearing from you both. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
That's good. Thank you.